To everyone here in the room and on the committee. Roll call. Steve, we've got myself, Matt, Tim, Chris, John, Elliot's out so far. John, president. James is.
I'm here.
James is here. Good morning. Jeff, Shay, Jackie.
Right here.
And Patrick, we're still lacking. Jenna Pepper, announcement is Jenna resigned for just the lack of time with the commitments at the school, so. But she did, agree to be a contact for the school. We need to involve school staff and students. That's still a good news. All right, introduction of others in attendance. If you want to just introduce yourselves. We're all here for, I think, skate park topic today and other cool things on the agenda. So if you want to introduce yourself, Oliver's in the front. Second row there is.
Yeah, my name's Ted Jaramillo. I'm a co-owner of Rocket Ramps. We're a trail building company based out in New Mexico.
Yeah, and I'm Henry. I'm the other owner.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm Brittany Harris, Josh Miller's wife. This is Eleanor and Tracy.
Morning. Back in the orange there.
Eddie Honey, helped build the bike park back in the day. I run an excavation company nowadays.
Right. Okay, thank you. Front row here. I'll do Jackie there and. I'm sorry.
You're not Jake.
Sure.
This way, up there, point at me.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Jackie Boyd, I used to be the principal at the high school. And timing on this is wonderful.
Yes, sir.
Tim Bertucci, just asked by Josh to come and attend and see how I might be able to assist.
Okay, thank you.
I'm Brett Ware, manager for the old thing.
And the very back of the room.
Ashley, I'm with Consensus Planning. I came up last year and she read about the building and everything. So I'm here, whatever capacity could be us here.
Okay, and online we have Ken Romig, also with Consensus Planning. And then other committee members, Chris Elliott and Tim are online. Thank you. All right.
Patrick, too.
Patrick,
He's
all right.
Close, he's real close.
Yeah.
Closest.
Wow. Full consensus. Okay. Any other announcements that people have? Okay. John did share some stuff that has some ECTAS, Enchanted Circle Trail Association has some cool training coming up. Crosscut, Wilderness First Aid, CBR, I think 1 or 2 are all required for each other, so those are some cool opportunities. Other announcements are Tuesday night at council meeting, the council did approve the donations that Overground Sports Park, Overground Group is going to submit for the project, so that was approved. That was good to do, so that's gonna help us move forward to today. Okay, the next thing on our agenda is comments, questions from community audience members. So if you want to comment on the presentation from Rocket Ramps, otherwise in skate park, we're gonna bring that conversation during that session. If you have other comments on another topic, bring it up now if you have comments, but we're gonna engage all of you in the discussion on both Allen Fields planning and also on skate park. Cool. It's a matter of just raising your hand if you've got a comment to bring it into the conversation. Okay, any changes to our minutes from March 19th?
Until I see where Lauren Bell's online and has a question.
Okay. Lauren.
Hey, good morning. I just wanted to follow up on your comments about the trainings that we do have coming up with the Enchanted Circle Trail Association. Give folks just a little more details on that. We do have coming up May second and third, a wilderness first aid training. That's a little bit more aggressive than just a first aid CPR. Great for when you're heading out in the field. And it, as you mentioned, having some kind of first aid training is a requirement for doing any sort of saw training to get saw certified on the Forest Service. We are not offering a chainsaw training this year, but what we are offering is a 2-day free crosscut saw training. And the crosscut saw, if you're not familiar, is those you see them in the old time black and white photos, the 2-man saws with the big teeth that people are using. And those are required if you're doing any trail work up in wilderness, because chainsaws are not allowed up in wilderness. And they're a hell of a lot of fun to use. So strongly encourage people, if you have an interest in that. That crosscut saw training is June 6th and 7th. And then the final big training that we have is our Trail Master training. And Trail Master training is something we highly recommend that anybody who is doing trail maintenance, either on your own property, on private property, or on town property. We go through the basics of drainage, trail log out and clear out, trail brushing, and trail engineering. So it's just good to have that background to understand kind of why we're out there and what we're doing when we're maintaining trails. But that is going to be May 30th and 31st, and that is free 2-day training. Morning of the first day will be in the classroom, and then the afternoon will be in the field, and then the second day is all in the field, putting the skills to good use. And that is happening in Cuesta for May 30th and 31st. So we try to rotate around the Enchanted Circle, and this year it's going to be in Cuesta. So I think that's what I got. And other than that, check out enchantedcircletrails.org/calendar, and we have a bunch of volunteer opportunities coming up for trail work throughout the Enchanted Circle region.
Thank you, Lauren. Appreciate that update. Okay, so review and approval of our agenda. So our topic, we have 2 key topics today to cover. In addition to our reports, we're going to run through reports real quick. I like to keep them brief, succinct. Only clarification questions on the report so we can move to the next 2 items. But our key 2 topics today are a presentation by Rocket Ramps Trail and Bike Park Design. Josh is going to help us lead that conversation here. And it's really about what happened at the Pecures Bike Park project, what we can learn from it. And our speakers are going to help us think through process we need to go into designing and planning our skate park, bike park complex. And we want to also generate a list of community engagement ideas for the project. This is not the public forum. We're going to have a whole lot of civic community engagement in designing this to make sure it's what we want and what can work for the village and what's within the reality of the budget and people power of the village to manage this whole big complex. The second topic is Allen Fields. So everyone's been talking about Allen Fields for decades. It's got a great start with a good softball athletic complex used by the school for their physical education programs. There's plans for lighting, there's plans for restroom, concession stand facilities, but the rest of it's an open slate. What we don't know is how it all fits together. How does the skate park fit in with the horseshoe pits or the volleyball? What's the people flow like? How does it all work together? And we were going to ask our on-call consultants to work on that, but we want to really develop what's the scope of work to get that done so we can identify the location of those facilities, move forward with that project. We have 40 minutes for the presentation on bike park, skate park, and we have about 20 on others. I'm going to probably say that's going to take a little longer time. We may push 15 minutes after today if it's okay with committee and participants to get through our topics. And then, of course, we wrap up with our typical assigned actions, agenda items, and council update topics. Everyone okay with the agenda?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's move into reports if we may. First report today is from Parks and Recreation Department. Shay, any updates for us?
Yes, the lighting is going to be presented to council the next council meeting, to approve putting it out to RFP. Dennis Engineering is going to be, handling the RFP for the lighting. And, in regard to the budget, we are, Manager Weir and myself are going to, meet with Oliver to discuss, some of the budget that will be needed for next fiscal year in regard to, the skate park and pump track. And, we're going to set something up with that next week. And, Lauren Bell is on here today because, I spoke with him about, where we were with, priorities for the village with ECTA. And, so he hopped on today so he could, maybe give us a little bit of a update on that. And other than that, that's about all I have. I don't know where we are with the trail, the Frank Young Trail. I haven't heard anything on that. I don't know if, Manager Weir knows any more than me on that, but that's all I have for that. If anyone has any questions.
Any questions for Parks and Rec Director? All right, thank you. Status of our committee revised charter and annual report are my two topics. The annual report was finally all consensus agreed to. That's going to go forward to council and to the manager this week. The revised charter, we did have a language change from the resort, and that still needs a few approvals from some folks. So basically, their legal department put additional action verbs and adjectives into the statement, which basically said the same thing earlier. But that revised text was shared, and we do need, again, consensus on that revised statement. So
You were gonna make, cause I didn't answer the email.
yeah, no, I did look at a bunch of people. So we do need a quick, just look at that or give me a voice vote after the meeting today so I get that forward. And I do have a copy of the change. The change of that thing.
Yes, on that.
I think you did the first one.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I'll look right now.
So those two are gonna go forward. I'd like to get those off my plate this week to get the charter and annual report to village administration for us. Trail Salsa, John Carmack.
Yes, we met on the 24th of February. And the whole concept of the whole salsa plan was to basically come up with a network of trails within the Chenna Circle to have consistent signage and looking at different things as far as different programs that we need to develop it within the Chenna Circle. We have nothing planned for the next one. I don't know, Lauren, do we have anything planned for next meeting?
Don't have a meeting date on the calendar at the moment, but we do have the next meeting planned. I will say one of the outcomes and the follow-up from this is we are working with both the village of Taos Ski Valley and the town of Red River on developing a sign template for a regional sign plan that kind of meets their needs. And then hopefully once we kind of have that specific input from those communities, then we'll be able to present that to Angel Fire and other communities and say, okay, does this work within your visions of what you're looking for in the way of signage? And just to a brief rundown of that, that's everything from signs when you're a couple miles out, like trailhead this way kind of signs, to signs as you're getting closer to the trails, to kiosk signs at the trailhead, to wayfinding signs when you're on the trail. And the goal with this plan is to have some consistent identity as Enchanted Circle Trails, but at the same time have unique brand identity for each community. So there's I guess make trails more approachable for people who are visiting throughout the region, but then, like I said, make sure that everybody is maintaining their unique needs for your particular community or entity.
Thank you, Lauren. Thank you, John.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Any resort updates, Patrick?
A couple updates that I worked on. Got a good start on the list that you sent me, and I had to take a break from it. But the big thing is working on the maps, the resort maps. Finding the village trail with the green belt, making it more an umbrella versus two different trail systems. So changing the name of the trail system, Angel Fire Trail System, or whatever we decide is best. Not having green belt trails and village trails. Also get that separation away.
Okay,
Trail work, we got some plans up there for doing some trail work like we always do. The budget will be it'll be tight this season for obvious reasons. So we won't have as much to spend on the trails as we normally would, but we still have some good stuff planned up there. And map stuff too, looking at apps and how we can put either a QR code on the map or something to put on the map that we can actually track each other on the trails out there. We can't do that with our resort app yet, unfortunately. But we can use QR codes for different trail forks or all trails, whatever it is. Something just to be able to track people out there and where you're at on the trail system. As a kind of example there. Yeah, I'll continue to work on the list that you sent me as I.
on the new trail map, are you working with Greg's staff as well, or?
Not at this point right now.
Okay.
I'm doing in-house graphic design, changing the trail map a little bit. Taking on Ho Chi Minh stuff, stuff like that.
Okay, and our committee wants to participate in that process as well with you guys on that.
So here shortly, hopefully the next few weeks, I'll have something presentable.
Okay, one question for you to follow up on the potential survey of RV users about how they use e-bikes. Is
Yep.
that had any
I've asked
conversation?
a couple of times and I've gotten positive response and yes, they'll do it. I just haven't seen anything yet.
Okay,
So I'll wrap that. up.
Is a resort still hardline with the class one?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we want to change it.
Actually, it's 95% of our trails, so.
Yeah.
What if we
For
had
the green
class two?
belts, we need class one for the
Okay.
bike park class one. We're gonna keep that the same.
What about ADA? Is there any?
That's a different category.
Okay.
yeah. So for the audience, a future discussion for our group is to develop an e-bike policy for the village. And the complex part of that is how do we align our e-bike policy with resort policy? Because we don't want people riding one type of bike and then hit a boundary and then not be able to ride. So that's always a bad deal for the visitor. So we're trying to understand that. And part of that puzzle is we want to, when we make a decision or recommend decisions to the village, we want to understand how do the RV users at the road, the park out there, what are they bringing into town? Are they bringing in class twos, class threes, class ones? Would they ride to town for farmer's market? Would they ride into the village for music or groceries? And I think we want to understand that before we propose anything. That's what we're asking the village, the resort to help with understanding users before we recommend policy. That's on a future topic for us. But that's where that's at. All right. Any other questions for any of the updates? All right, moving on then. Very well. Presentation by Rocket Ramps, Trail and Bike Park Design. So a lot of us, some of us are been to Pecurus and ridden and seen what they've accomplished at Pecurus Pueblo with their bike park. And we've heard in our own community that what makes a great bike community is not just the downhill stuff in the cross country, but it's the training opportunities, the pump tracks. It's the whole package to make you a bike friendly community. And part of that is also moving around town. It's the active transportation route. So our committee is about active transportation. Can you get from the vet center to Allen Fields or to the grocery store to the subway, whatever it is? How do you get around? So the big towns that are attracting lots of visitors and for the bike stuff is because all those pieces are there of the puzzle. So we're missing part of the puzzle, which is the pump track skate park stuff. And what we want to have interest in that, we've heard this has been talked about for a long time. So now we've got some movement on that. We've got proposals in. It's still going to need a whole lot of community engagement to figure out what we want, but we want to start by a presentation with Rocket Ramps. tell us how we should be going about this. And Josh, I'm gonna turn the rest of the presentation over to you to run this. Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, where you want us
Otis, please.
to, you guys?
Yeah.
Cool. And then are you gonna pull up the
Yes, sir.
slide to it? Perfect. Thank you. All right.
And that's all I got is the first one. Do you want me to scroll down?
Oh, yeah, you can stay on the first.
Okay.
Cool. Well, thank you. So my name is Henry. I'm one of the owners of Rocket Ramps. Joshua Harrison reached out to us about doing a presentation about this and kind of talking about what it takes to build a bike park, skate park, etc. And then our experience with Pickris just down the street here, building that park. And a little bit about my background. So we're not just trail builders. I mean, we do that currently. We're park builders as well. But we've worked in the nonprofit space. We've worked in the grant writing space. We've worked kind of all angles of trail and park development. So for the past 10 years. So we have different perspectives, right? Obviously, we're on the build side now, but we're able to talk about this because we've been on all sides, really. Yeah, we'll turn it over to Ted and talk a little bit about our business, and then go into the flow of building a bike park. Yeah. Yeah, we can go to the next slide, please. So yeah, who are we? So my name is Ted Hottomio. I'm the other co-owner of Rocket Ramps. We've been in business for the past 5 years now. Henry and I both grew up riding in New Mexico from here. We wanted to start a trail building company here because we felt there was a real need for a local rider run trail building company in the state. So I feel like as we've progressed as riders and gotten older, we've really seen the mountain bike scene grow. I'm sure you all have seen that with Angel Fire Bike Park and the surrounding trails. So yeah, we started a company, and it's been a lot of fun, and it's been great to serve the greater community of New Mexico and the mountain bikers. So yeah. So go to the next one. So yeah, hopefully at the end of this, we can give you an idea of the steps to build. And so we want to answer questions like, where to even start? You all have clearly started. But what options exist in terms of infrastructure and connectivity? And what does the community want? So leading community engagement. And then how do you maximize the budget or extend it? Do you have donations? Do you have in-kind? What kind of grants are you looking at? What kind of state and federal which is utilized to really maximize. So yeah, here's a little flow chart of what we're going to be talking about. So first, identifying need. You all have clearly done that. Moving into community input. So really ensuring that this is what the community wants, what the youth want, what people have wanted for a long time. And then once you kind of know what kind of infrastructure you need and you want, looking for a location, which you all have a lot of location. And then with that location, refining the infrastructure, what can fit in that location, what makes sense. And then going back to community input, maybe you want a double black downhill trail, but there's no double black terrain. So you're just going to do something different. So going back to the community. And once you know what you want, moving into master planning. So you all are kind of in that stage as well, and you have some consultants, which is great. And then once you have budgets, maps, all that good stuff, securing funding. And we'll talk extensively about what funding opportunities we have utilized and nonprofits we've worked with have utilized and municipalities in New Mexico. And then finally, construction. So looking at phases, like what's the 5-year plan? What's the 10-year plan? And how do we maintain infrastructure? Go to the cool. So identify Village of Angel Fire Bike Park goals. And these are just a couple bullet points that we came up with as examples for some of your goals. So facilitate outdoor recreation for the community free of charge. Assuming that, the dog park and the various parks that you already have are free of use parks. So generally with skate parks, pump tracks and skills parks, it's usually a free of charge park.
Create safe features that allow riders to learn bike handling skills. So pump tracks, skills parks, those are all key infrastructure for building bike handling skills. And then highlight, preserve the existing landscape and integrate existing foliage features, etc. So a lot of skills parks that we've seen that we really appreciate are ones that, you know, it's not a full like pad that's just scraped of all the organic material. It's building those lines in between the grasses, the trees, that sort of thing, giving it a nice outdoor park feel. Next slide, please.
So yeah, community input. So this is kind of the next part, right? And you all were touching on that earlier. So leading a community engagement program to really get people to the table, figure out what they want. Los Alamos just did a really awesome job with this, with their bike park master plan. They had a bunch of working group sessions and they had a ton of people show up. They had spreadsheets that went out to everybody in the county and also outside. And they had a really good idea of what people wanted. And, you know, Pump Track was right out there, right along with skills park and ramps and stuff like that. So providing options for the community is really important and laying that out very clearly. So like paved pump track, what is a pump track? Here's some examples. Here's what you can do with a pump track. Even entertaining like modes of like transit between parks, like a, you know, maybe the town and like the field. Maybe there's like a pump track integrated in the bike path so people can actually like ride or like hit a skate ledge like on the way. So like laying out like how that could look, right? Progressive jump lines, you know, slope style lines, skill lines, drop zones, all these things that we'll talk about here in a second, but really clear examples of what that could look like and maybe some examples at the bike park here. I mean, this is like a great example of like so much awesome bicycle infrastructure. And then, yeah, ranking priorities and looking at a phased approach for things. So maybe you can't build skills lines, slope style lines, pump track and skate park in phase one.
Right. Have you, in y'all's experience, have you seen it work out better to phase it out or just kind of knock it out, you know, or just kind of whatever best suits the needs?
Phase is, we think, the best in New Mexico. Like there's projects and there's a project that we were thinking about going after in California. It was a $12 million build that was like, we're doing everything at once, right? And they have all the like initiatives already set up and, you know, a ton of funding and donations. And it was just like, oh my gosh, which is like, that happens in California, you know, but here with the outdoor recreation division, you can get, which we'll talk about in a little bit here. It's like, you can do a planning grant, you know, for $100,000 and you can phase it out and then the state's invested in seeing that you complete that master plan. So you can have a 10-year plan with all these different things. And every year you can go after $500,000, $1 million just like this because they're invested already with, you know, your planning grant. So it's a very effective way to utilize the funds. Yeah. Anything around that front?
No, I mean, Pickers was, I guess, a two-phase project because they initially built the asphalt pump track in the skate park and then we went in on the second phase and built the bike park. So, yeah. I think it's just a matter of if you can, you know, navigate like multiple contractors building all at the same time. If you can get it to work with everyone's schedule, it's definitely possible, but.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah. And also, you know, building in winter time, that sort of thing, doing earthwork, like, yeah, especially up here because it's so cold.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. It's possible, but I feel like phased approach is good. Just depends on funding and all that. So, yeah. Sweet. So yeah, on this next slide here, we got a couple examples of asphalt pump tracks and various skills features. On the upper left-hand corner, that's a asphalt pump track. And for anyone who's not familiar with the pump track, it's generally a closed loop with a series of rollers and banked berms. It's a pretty popular style of track for skills parks because it's you know, accessible to green riders, blue riders, professional riders. Everybody can have fun on it. It's a great workout. The way that it works is the rider will get on the track and utilize the rollers and berms to pump, is kind of the saying, to pump through the track. using your body English, and that's a great way to build bike handling skills. And the other cool thing about asphalt surfaces, it's not just for bikes, skateboards, scooters, rollerblades, kind of opens it up for all, which is great. So it's kind of a multi-use track in that sense. The middle photo there, that's an example of a Canon log feature. That's more of an advanced ProLine feature, depending on how it's set up. That's one of the features that we installed at the Pickers Bike Park, and that's just a CAD drawing of it. And then on the upper right-hand side, that's another example of a pump track. You can see it's been properly landscaped around the track with grass and reseeding, which is good for stabilizing the dirt shapes, and again, just gives it a nice park feel, which is great. On the bottom left photo is an example of a skills park in Boulder, Colorado. It's called Belmont. It's a huge, I believe it's about 50 acres now. They keep expanding. It's a pretty amazing facility there. It's definitely worth checking out. And it might be hard for some people to see, but in that photo, there's various drops going into those lines. And that could be a drop zone, or those features are also called squirrel catchers, which when the rider enters the line, there's a very clear sign of the difficulty rating. And that first feature kind of sets the tone for the rest of the trail. So
Yeah, if you can't do the first one, don't keep going.
exactly, yeah. So it keeps riders that aren't really,
Stopped anybody.
I mean,
yeah. I mean,
I may have stopped one.
yeah. Stop some, stop you once, right? Heads up radar, but that's just a great way to keep beginner riders off of super difficult lines.
Yep.
So nobody gets above their ability level. And then on the bottom middle, that's a photo of a curved wall ride. That was set up at Pickers Bike Park. That was on the Pro line. That's a curved wall ride that you jump in and out of. Super fun feature. And then on the bottom right is another example of a prefabricated ramp. And the reason why we think the prefab ramps are really good for the maintenance side is the first thing that causes problems and needs a lot of maintenance are lips. So
The takeoff.
the takeoff, yeah. And when it's thought about ramp that has the right curvature and it's designed for that style of bike, it eliminates
The need for maintenance to have to sit there and pack and reshape the lip every time.
exactly.
It's a lot easier to maintain the landing.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Yeah, and for anyone that's built a dirt jump lip, it's quite the process. It's definitely a skilled labor to get it right, for sure, yes. Yeah, the next slide, please.
Blisters too.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Cool, so the next step in the process is identifying the location you want the skate park and to be at. And this photo is just an area that I believe you talked to Henry about. This was the general area you guys were looking at.
On that topic too, I mean, the idea is like, how many acres are we, do you know how many acres Picker is, Pueblo's?
About 10.
Yeah,
10 acres.
Yeah,
I mean, so the pump track skate park aspect of it, it's on maybe what, an acre?
yeah,
An acre max?
yeah.
So, I mean, and they have Jeff mentioned that maybe like a Red Bull approved pump track on 1 acre, right?
Right.
But then as Henry and them are explaining where this can continue to grow, where we don't want to like inhibit ourselves from being able to grow.
Yeah, we would want to be able to allocate, for,
Yes.
and that's like, how many acres does it take?
Right.
yeah. I mean, 200 if you want.
Well, like, in between the fields and the dog park have like good grade to do cool stuff.
Yeah.
There's a lot of the graded zone for future stuff.
100%.
Yeah. Next slide.
So yeah, like in this flow chart here, we're figuring out a location, right? You all have a large swath that you're looking at here, but refining that infrastructure. So like what works in this space, what is wanted, what makes sense with that location, like there's a riparian area down there. So like thinking about how that interacts. And then, yeah, circling back to community input, right? So like maybe, like I said earlier, like a double black downhill trail, like doesn't make sense in this flat field, right? So like that's really wanted, but maybe we should think of what's like the second most wanted thing. So going back to community, if you need to, that is, so. Let's see. Yeah, so master plan. So next, once kind of know what the public wants, know what infrastructure, you know, is wanted. Yes, look at doing a master plan. So with a master plan, you want to incorporate all these desired park amenities. So these are like the pump tracks, the jump lines, skate parks, et cetera, all that stuff. But then also looking at bathrooms, parking. How do you get from the bathrooms to the bike park? How do you get to the top of the bike park? How do you get to the skate park? All of those things, interconnectivity. If you've got existing infrastructure there already, how do you connect to that infrastructure? Fencing. So don't want dirt bikes and side-by-sides getting in there and tearing everything up, you know? So how are you doing that? Like we install stiles, you know, so you have to like flip your bike up and like go through. That gets tricky if you're doing adaptive mountain bike stuff. So, you know, that's like a 50-inch clearance, which you can get a quad in. So you need like some sort of enforcement. So that's a whole different thing, but thinking about how you're controlling access. And then maybe even lighting, you know, like you're gonna light up the pump track, you know, it gets dark at 4:30 in the winter, maybe there's no snow and you want to go ride the pump track, turn the lights on, you know? So yeah, parking and user access, I talked about that. Phasing in the master plan as well. You can get rough gauges in this master plan so you can phase and kind of like look at your funding initiatives. So like maybe you get a grant for $500,000 to do your first phase, but you can continue to fundraise for that next phase while you're building that existing phase. So you can like look a long ways out. Like I said, Los Alamos did a really good job with this. They have I think it's a $12 million park that they want to do on North Mesa, and they're doing a phased approach, like doing the bike park first, then they're looking at, you know, some like community gardens and then like a pavilion and all this stuff. You know, they have rough budgets for everything and they've got a 10-year plan for it. So I thought that was a really good example. And funding. So this is a big one. We work with a lot of funding entities in New Mexico, and we've been working specifically with the Outdoor Rec Division of the state, the Economic Development Division for the last 5 years, really. It's an amazing grant program. And I'm sure a lot of you have heard of this grant program. For the ones that haven't, there's a Trails Plus grant, it's called, and there's 3 different tiers that you can apply for to get funding for infrastructure projects. A tier 1 is up to $99,000. You can do planning, you can do trail building, you can do bike park, like whatever. And that's okay for nonprofits to apply for their first round. Tier 2, municipalities, tribal entities, nonprofits who have already received a tier 1 can apply for up to $500,000 to build bike parks. You know, safe ways to school, like bike paths, like whatever you need for infrastructure. And then tier 3 is up to $1 million. So with a ORD grant for up to $1 million, you're looking at skate park, on track, getting all of that in like one swing, which is pretty sweet. Because it's rural up here, it's a 2-to-1 match as opposed to 1-to-1 in a more urban setting. And so if you have a $500,000 grant, you have to match it $250,000 or match $250,000. That can be in-kind services, dirt, backhoe time, city workers, you know, whatever. Like maybe Patrick lends an excavator for a day, you know, that's a match, right? But also if you have donations and like, you know, you were talking about there being donors, right? So if you get a $250,000 donation for a $500,000 grant, all of a sudden you have a $750,000 budget, which is awesome. So yeah, that's ORD. And then there's a new grant program that's out with the New Mexico Tourism Department called the Destination Forward. Very similar structure to ORD, very similar timelines as well, and very similar tiering. We have not worked under that grant yet, but it looks really promising because they want to, you know, it's a similar outlook to ORD of like, we want infrastructure. We want people coming here to enjoy the infrastructure just from a tourism angle. And then the New Mexico Department of Finance provides a $30,000 cash match to any federal grant.
Who does?
The New Mexico Department of Finance. And so any federal grant program, you can then get a match through the state. This is something we learned this past year. Federal grants, it's like, they're a lot harder to come by than the state grants currently. So if there's any federal grant that you're like, we could use this, the Department of Finance is a great help for that. And then I skipped the first bit, but recreational trails program through NMDOT. We've worked under some of those grants, written some of those grants as well. And they are a little bit stricter in terms of like what you can do, but they do have motorized and non-motorized trail grants, which is really special because then it's very specific. Right? It's like we are doing non-motorized mountain trails or non-motorized trails. Forget the tiering on that as well. I want to say it's like $235,000-$300,000, something like that. You can apply for one tier, and then there's another tier after that. We're not quite as familiar with that grant, but we have worked with it. And then this is long-winded, but IMBA Trail Accelerator Grant. A lot of people use that for planning. So IMBA, International Mountain Bike Association, they provide up to $30,000, I believe, for planning, implementation, stuff like that. The project we're about to start in a couple months here, use this grant to do a master plan, which is great. IMBA did the master plan. And then finally donors, which we talked about earlier. So.
Construction. So again, a phased approach with the park, a set timeline. So depending on, if you go the grant route, there is a deadline when you have to spend those funds and complete the project. Season considerations. Obviously, you guys have a very cold winter again, like I mentioned. So building in the wintertime, the climate is getting warmer, so maybe it's feasible, but generally we build spring through fall on these types of projects. The bidding process, procurement, necessary permits, plans, etc. Involvement of local nonprofits, marketing opportunities. So with Picaris Pueblo Bike Park, we did a really big social media push for a grand opening event and just kind of creating awareness that, hey, this park is here and it's opening. Especially for that area, like there's not a ton of traffic that goes in towards the bike park. So making it, aware for the community that it's here is crucial for people to be able to find it. So
Tell us a little more about that event.
yeah,
Tell us more about that event. What was that event? Like, how many people were there?
Yeah. We'll get to it. We got
there's a slide on it. Yeah.
Got you.
And then, grand opening event planning, which, we'll talk about for Picaris Pueblo.
Real quick on the construction, what about ongoing maintenance?
Mm-hmm. We'll touch on that with Picaris, but that is like one of the, that is key.
But that's the question.
Yeah. Cool. So we're just gonna talk about Picaris, lessons learned, and scope and all that stuff. It is right down the road here, so I think it is a good proxy to understand like what this community could see from a park like this. So the scope that they approached us with was essentially design bike jumps and features that contribute to progression. They wanted something super intense. Like we had to let's build 100-foot jumps. Like, let's jump the road. Like, we want the craziest thing. We're like, I don't know, you can do it, but you're gonna see this from space, it's gonna be huge. And so, we did dial it back a little bit, and the park that's there now is kind of what we arrived at. And the biggest thing is they wanted infrastructure that riders could progress to professional levels at. They were like, we want to provide alternate means for our youth to make money, essentially. Like maybe it's not a 4-year degree, but maybe it's become a YouTube influencer riding in Picaris, right? Maybe you're filming your friends at the park and you become really into video and editing and stuff like that. So providing an alternate space for really intense infrastructure. And they were literally we want X Games. And so create safe features that allow for riders to learn tricks and refine their jumping skills. For those of you who haven't been out to the park, we put in a airbag and mulch jump area, which an airbag's this big inflatable thing that you can jump into and try tricks and land and you won't, hurt yourself. That's minimal. Yeah. And then next to it is an identical jump with a wood chip landing. So you could try the trick you tried to the airbag to a mulch landing and actually ride out of it. And then we had the same jump to a dirt landing. So you could then learn a backflip to the bag, learn a backflip to the mulch jump, learn a backflip to dirt. So really like creating that continuity, which like there's no parks like this you can ride in the Southwest, like that we know of, that you could actually like progress significantly. It was really important for them to preserve the existing landscape, integrate existing foliage. So it was like, the line is here, we cannot drive or excavate anywhere off that. So we had to keep all the sagebrush, all the trees, really work around everything that was there to really like make it pretty. Like it was important to be a aesthetically pleasing park and not to destroy the land. And then finally, like Ted was talking about the grand opening and media push, they really wanted to like bring Pickris to the like center of like intense slope style like park riding. So we did like a whole section on media, grand opening video or highlight reels. And then they're actually doing like probably like a 30-minute documentary. Like we hired a media crew to do a documentary on Pickris, their rec park development, what it means for their people and the resiliency. And so it was like big to like push that for them. So go to the next slide.
Cool. So success and lessons learned. So after completing the Pickris Bike Park, we really saw that there was a need for high-level skills parks like this. We were pretty blown away with the amount of people that showed up for the grand opening event, not just from New Mexico, but from Arizona, Colorado, because we got the word out and spread it pretty well. We probably had like, I don't know, maybe 200, 300 people. Yeah.
I heard it was quite a few people. I heard it was a great event.
Yeah, it was a little tricky because of the rain.
I think that's River go to attend. Austin did. Oh, he left you at home?
Yeah, so the weather was a little bit of a factor, but people still stuck around, which was great. Another lesson learned with that park is the easier to intermediate lines get used way more. We saw that at the grand opening, but again, it's new to people as well. So I feel like if we went back the next summer, we'd probably see more and more people progressing towards those harder lines, which I think is important. So people don't just get bored of it and master it all right away. And then they're like, all right, what's next? Like I think it's key to also have those large lines there for people to really work up to, because the youth is progressing so fast on bikes that it's good to have the harder stuff as well. But right off the bat, the green and blue lines were definitely the favorites. And then, the grand opening event was a big success and a good revenue generator for the Pickris Pueblo people. There was a bunch of vendors there selling food. They fully sold out. We had a bunch of local bike shops set up tents. So a lot of good economic growth for the community, which is good. And then, to answer your question, the maintenance plan is essential. Setting up some sort of, once or twice a season is key to, just like any park that you would build and design, you want to take care of it. Which we have a good point on how you can do that as well.
Maintenance plans. So depending on, what kind of resources you have at your disposal, like in Denver, for example, they have a full-time maintenance staff that like goes around and maintains parks, and they're perfect all year. It's incredible. In places like Santa Fe, like what we do is we set up an MOU with the city where, Santa Fe Fat Tire Society, which is like the local trail nonprofit, has an MOU with the city. We will take care of this park. And then it's guaranteed that this park will receive maintenance 2 to 3 times a year, in the spring after freeze thaw, in the summer after a big rain event, and then in the fall to kind of put it to bed, pull weeds, pick up trash, do stuff like that. So having a concrete plan is key, and it's also really key to funding. So the ORD will not accept, most grants for the most part will not accept anything without an extensive maintenance plan, and they're becoming stricter and stricter. And with Pickers, you know, like, we were kind of anticipating coming back and doing some maintenance, and you know, they were like, we're gonna self-perform. Right now, the park is like not very rideable, and so it's like, this needs to be resurfaced, this needs to be worked on, like, the minute, you know, that last thaw or that last spring storm hits. So yeah, like looking at, local nonprofits you can partner with, that'll create an MOU with you, having people do it in-house. Or maybe there's a contingency that comes up, Roots, that is like, we will take over this park, we will kind of, which generally happens with like gravity infrastructure, you know, like especially in Santa Fe.
Do y'all offer that, maintenance?
Yeah, we do that. And that's ideally like, you know, it's like build the park, maintenance twice a year, you know, 1 week, park skate around. If there's water already out there, which I saw hydrants out there, you know, at the field and stuff, it's like, you have spigots. You know, you just literally hook up your hose, water, run over with your quad a couple times, you know, to get it all nice and hard, and then check all the bolts on the features and move on. Like, it's a pretty simple thing to do for dirt stuff, right? Asphalt pump tracks and stuff like that, just, you know, a sealer every 5 years or something.
Yeah.
So. Questions? Concerns?
Got questions? Raise your hand. James?
Hey, what's up, Jake?
Hey, dude.
How are you?
Good to see you.
So, would you guys be able to come in and start with a hybrid pump track? Because in my eyes, that would be the coolest setup around a skate park for the vision I think that Josh and probably a few of us in the community have for a pump track / bike park. And what I mean by hybrid is a mix between asphalt pump track and dirt mountain bike sort of features. And so my question is, if we were able to, you know, our first step is to build a concrete slab for our skate park and have the location. That's the first step. Have the location. And I have an idea of where it needs to be, and I think there's plenty of room there. And then come in after that, and then build a hybrid, in my eyes, a hybrid pump track / bike park. Because the maintenance on the asphalt pump track is super easy to maintain. But if you wanted to mix in bike park features such as dirt jumps or even prefabbed jumps and materials, would that be something that you guys would be able to do?
Yeah, totally.
Okay,
Yeah,
because that would be sick.
yeah. I mean, I think that's a great idea, kind of blending the pump track and the skills features.
Yeah,
Sure.
and I think the combination of asphalt, prefab, and even dirt features around the initial area for the skate park would be awesome. The idea or the location that I kind of have in mind might limit a bigger bike park for the building process, but to be honest, for me, I don't think that we need a huge extra bike park in this area because we already have the best bike park in the world.
Right.
And I'm not saying, and I haven't seen Pickeries yet, but just from the pictures and what I've heard is it's insane.
Yeah.
And I actually didn't know that you guys had built that.
Oh,
So that's pretty amazing. So I really want to go check that out. But
yeah.
my idea for the community is to have a sick pump track / jump area.
Mhm.
That way that you can hone your skills in, especially for me where I don't always want to practice hitting Candyland at the bike park. They're huge jumps.
Right.
They're huge jumps and you got to go real fast. But if I had an area that was right next to the skate park, then I could skateboard, jump off my skateboard and then go hit some sick jumps that Teddy and yourself would be able to build for us. And that'd be ideal.
Other questions?
Just a quick question about the maintenance. You guys have more experience with that than I do, but asphalt and the freeze and fall, throughout the 5-10 years. Is there a lot of maintenance to that at some point? Like the velodrome solutions that I see everywhere, like in this area with the snow, what we have here, there's some problems down the road, actually.
Yeah, there are. So a good example is like the jump line. The asphalt pump track at Pickers has a jump line on the like right side, and they're like super tight, techie jumps. And so we didn't build that track. That was American Ramp Company, and which is Velo Solutions, reference all the same. But the jumps cracked within like a year because asphalt doesn't really like being super steep. So like if you lay it down flat, it's generally okay. You might have to seal it every 5 years. It's not too bad. But the minute you start making stuff steep, it really wants to fall down and crack. You're not getting that like nice compaction. So like all those jumps cracked and they had to reseal them for next year. And they're still doing that. So that's a problem. Something that we have not done that's being done a lot now is a pump tweak. Those are like, I mean, they're really expensive, but they work way better than asphalt. They're a lot harder to install because it's concrete. Yeah, but like some of the best pump track builders are doing that. Like, you know, it's not just like bang on an asphalt track and like move on. It's like, no, they're like really like being sure everything's perfect and smooth and they'll last forever. You know, you wouldn't have
Double the cost.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but yeah, so I mean, with the like weather considerations, I mean, that's a really good point. I think using a finer grained asphalt is really important for that. And then also, yeah, trying to be considerate of like really tight turns that are really steep, like kind of opening everything up. So you're not like setting yourself up for cracking and breaking where things are really steep and tight.
I think that's really important, and it's all, you know, we can definitely set up all these maintenance groups in one, but at some point down the line, it's gonna fill somewhere.
Right.
It's not, groups aren't gonna show up, something's gonna happen at some point. So having pretty much bulletproof maintenance is key.
100%.
I just know too that Red River, I believe, their park is half concrete, half asphalt. They're tearing out all the asphalt down to do concrete.
That's right.
For the pump track? Okay, because I was there a few days ago and for the pump track, the construction guys were coming in, pulling out all the dirt and grass, and they're gonna install artificial turf.
For the like I said, I believe the asphalt portion's coming out during this phase too.
And they're gonna do concrete. Oh, okay, wow.
It's not gonna be.
Yeah, it's pretty smooth still. Really, yeah. It's what about,
The other thing I'd like to add is that even though every 5-year treatment on asphalt is normal in most places,
Right,
it's every 2 years here.
gotcha.
And even then, your asphalt has to be replaced every 8 to 9 years.
There you go.
Yeah,
Wow. Yeah, it doesn't last too long.
yeah.
What about carpet? I mean, lots of people are using carpet, it looks terrible.
Good stuff. You're actually just entertained by the probably wrong. Still, I mean, we can carpet jumps for
Right.
years, you know, which it really does help around here for maintenance, you know, like at our dirt jumps in Santa Fe, we pull the carpet back after winter and they're reliable, perfect. It looks
About to prefab jumps, yeah, are nicely done carpet.
exactly.
And we're not talking about house carpet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
all right,
That's what.
let's keep focus here on that. Any other questions on this project? Oliver, do you have anything to add?
Just on the asphalt, the other thing after a couple of years, especially around here, it's not skateboard. You can't ride a skateboard on it.
Yeah.
If I do it, for the first year, it's great. And then after that, it's done.
Right.
So I would definitely recommend concrete. And, you know, we do have some connections with concrete state park builders, so.
Josh, we're gonna start passing a hat around for donations for the concrete here. All right,
One more quick question.
yeah.
As far as infrastructure goes, if bare minimum water would be something that really need to be out there, but other than that, you could probably.
Yeah, if you're gonna have dirt features, you have to
You
have.
gotta have water.
Yeah, and lots of different locations for it as well. Like, you make it really easy for people to water, they put water. And that's like shown in all the parks up in Colorado and stuff. But you make it hard and no one will water. Yeah. So, and putting in that water. That's perfect. Yeah. Yeah.
So one last question. In my experience of working a lot of Navajo chapters, and trying to do bike parks, the lessons learned was, none of those kids most of them, they all have BMX bikes sitting in their yard with a rusted chain and a flat tire because no one that can fix it knows how to fix it. The second thing is that this happened in the Gallup bike program they first built it. No one taught the kids how to ride. And so it sat unused for a while. Did you see in Picture's any kind of programming to help the kids learn how to ride the features and what it was all about? How did that get started? And how did it advance?
Yep, I literally just met with the governor and lieutenant governor about this because in a way it was cart before the horse. Like there wasn't like a program in which to like get kids out there. They have some bikes, but it was kind of informal. But now they're looking at getting a fleet. You can go rent one and take one out, you know, at the rec center there and take it out with a coach and do stuff like that. But that didn't exist when the park was finished, right? So I do think that those going together is important. In that community specifically, just like rural, there's not a ton of like really intense mountain bikers, right? But people are interested in doing it. So obviously like creating a pathway for that is really important.
River does it.
Yeah, here, we'll, if that's it for Henry, and then we can go on to the community feedback.
Yeah, River, go ahead.
Part of the community involvement, which I kind of saw over at Hickory's when I would go over there weren't like a lot of, I would say, local kids. It'd be more so kids coming out from out of town, like from here, from Taos and stuff like that. I think it would be really cool to almost have like a village or community team that was free for kids to go out, that have volunteer instructors. I know for one, I would love to go volunteer my time to go teach some kids how to do a pump track and all of these things, to have this like community involvement, like you guys do with the skate thing every year. You guys have a ton of people come out and teach all these kids how to skate, and it's amazing. I saw it last summer. It was really just a really cool event to be put on for all of these local kids, because I know growing up here, there was definitely a lack of that as I was younger, and I'm really excited, especially, you know, just seeing these guys being able to kind of participate and do stuff like that here more so.
Great. Other comments on this part of the project? Okay,
That's good. Thank you, Phyllis.
thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
Well done.
Could we get a PDF copy of the presentation, distribute it to the committee members?
Yeah, and Ileana did share that with her posting of the agenda, but I'll
Oh,
share
okay.
it again.
Okay, as long as I didn't recall it's on there.
Yeah, it was shared to committee members.
Okay.
Okay. So what Rocket Ram just told us about was that the community involvement, the planning pieces of how it all fits together, what goes there, what we want. How do we work in cooperation with the resort, because they've got the down the budget, they've got a skills park already there, I believe. So how do we not replicate? How do we use our feature to advance their features? It's all part of this package. And what is really important for us now is Allen Fields. We know this is gonna go somewhere in the Allen Fields property. Where it goes exactly is unknown. It's all kind of an open question. Allen Fields is designated to be our premier sports complex in the village. And, you know, eventually it's gonna have probably, there's people interested in volleyball, there's people interested in having 10 horseshoe pits for statewide horseshoe tournaments there. All kinds of things can happen there. But we can't just throw down the skate park here and realize a year later, oh, we should have put it over here. We really need to have a good concrete plan on that.
Right.
And what we've got to do is have a revised master plan, I believe, for Allen Fields. And consensus planning is ready to work for us, but I think we want to agree on what that specific scope of work is. So we can at least in the next 2 months identify the skate park pad location and maybe the adjacent pump track or bike park features in that. The rest can fall into place, but we really need to get moving on this piece. And Matt here has agreed to be the Allen Fields project coordinator for this part, working with the village and our committee. And I've asked him to lead us through a little exercise on what we think scope of work should be for Kansas planning, which we can put forward to the village and then get a contract signed and get moving on an Allen Fields revised master plan. And that's in our own charter, one of our key deliverables is identifying the key recreational amenity improvements, and this is definitely on our main bucket list to get this done for the village. Matt?
Before we
Yes.
move on,
Yes.
before we move on real quick, I just wanted to bring up, I've made 3 posts on the info board.
Yeah.
Just 3 posts on the info board. There's over 100 likes and 90+ comments on that. Most of them are all in support. I have lists of names here that just go on and on and on as far as support. People who are willing to donate, people who are willing to help organize and raise funding, in-kind contributions. I've been told there's at least, I mean, we're looking at least $200,000 in cash, in-kind contributions, lots of dirt. Eddie's here, he's recommended or volunteered himself to contribute, whether that's excavator time, donating his equipment, what he can do. River's here because she would like to do something with the kids, to do something to help bring everybody together as a community with this type of space. Ms. Boyd is here, she is always here in support of it. My wife and kids are also here in support. They've been riding pump tracks before pedals. They hit their face on asphalt and get right back up and keep going.
More than that, I also grew up here. We need things to do with the kids.
I mean, yeah, same. Eddie and
In the
River,
off seasons, the muddy seasons.
the off seasons, after the bike park closes, because it closes at 4 and not 5 now.
Well, even like the kids who might not have the opportunity to go up and ski or to even use the mountain bike park, because like I went to school with tons of kids that never even got to go skiing, never even got on a bike. I think there's a huge need for this in the community.
Also, I've talked to multiple ski shops and they would all like to, be open during the summer. And be able to rent bikes, sell skateboards, things of that nature. I just also want to iterate for people who don't know, skate park pump track is not just for skateboards and 20-inch BMX bike. And a skate park is not just for a skateboard. I personally, I'm not great at riding any kind of bikes, but I have every kind of bike. So I ride my 20-inch bike on the skate park, right? Eleanor, she rides her bike on the skate park because the pump track's a little fast for a 4-year-old. So they all come in together, and same thing where they roller skate. You can ride a longboard, not just a skateboard, but a longboard. There's so many facets to that. Like the girls have nowhere to ride their roller skates, nowhere to ride a skateboard.
You know, it would be nice with that pad design to be able to have a perimeter around it where people could roller skate.
Yes.
Or rollerblade around that, around your proposal.
I mean, if it wasn't in my kitchen, that would be great, because that's kind of what we're limited to in our kitchen.
Our wood floors just have rollers.
In charge of the roller derby league and.
Yeah, man, absolutely.
And we have consensus planning. We have, Cameron Lindsay, her, Monroe Valley Angels, they're, contributing. She would like to help write grants or do anything she can do. And I mean, I have lists. Like I said, there's 100 likes, 90+ comments with a little bit of effort that I've put out. So this is definitely something we can do as a community, and it's highly needed. Most of these comments are mothers who have small children who, my wife and I, we tow our children up the green belt. That's not easy. Not everybody's gonna do that, right? So people want to wear their kids out, and I don't know if you've ever been to the Red River spot, but we've spent days and days and days. Kids will take a nap in a hammock, we get a pizza, and then ride all night till we have no more light. And if we had light, we'd keep riding. So, I mean, I just wanted to bring attention to this. It's highly needed, especially for a lot of the young families. We have 30 workforce housing units coming in this year. And that's phase 1 of 3. Those are intended for families and workforce housing. And this is something that's just highly needed for our community. So I just want to thank everybody for being here to listen to Henry and them. Oliver, if you would like to say anything else, because I mean, Oliver's on it. He's got everything already laid out for us. He knows all the people. He knows these guys. He knows everybody at American Ramp Company. He knows everybody to where we don't even have to go to American Ramp Company and we can get it done a little better, a little cheaper, a little faster, and the higher quality stuff. Where with all of this community involvement, we can get a concrete one, right? So then the hell with off with the asphalt and then come on with some concrete there. Like, we can make it happen. We need a spot to do it. The community can get the money and we can, I have 5 excavators that are willing to donate dirt and or equipment. And that has nothing to do with the resort or the village. That's without them. That's just the little bit of outreach that I have done personally. So I just wanted to thank everybody for listening.
Sure, thank you. Thanks for starting that community engagement. That was a reading was exciting and energizing to see that kind of support.
It was awesome. I mean, these are awesome. If anybody hadn't seen them and would like to see them, I mean, mom after mom who would love it.
All right, so Allen Fields.
Yeah, so I think that's a good segue, which thank you for teeing that up. So the point of this next section is the kind of boring nitty gritty part, because we all have ideas. We all have, I want this here. Maybe it should be this. This part of the section is to step back, look at it from a 30,000-foot view and have a comprehensive plan and establish what's the process of how we're actually going to try to get this implemented. It's not, I want this particular detail. It's where should certain things go? How do we establish the flow? How do we engage the community to make sure that we're not doing this in a vacuum? How do we engage proper stakeholders? How do we, as far as I understand, we have a 2-month deadline of which we need to be able to present a comprehensive master plan of Allen Fields to council to move forward. We engage consensus planning here to help us with the project. So this part's not nearly as exciting as, building trails and getting, the actual details of it. But this is the important part of stepping back and making sure that we go about this in a good, clear, concise way. And so kind of the goal that I want us to establish. So at the end of this, we need to have a good, clear scope of work, right? Consensus planning can't help us unless we know what we're asking them. And so the point of this is to develop a clear ask so that over the next couple of months, consensus planning can help us. How many meetings do we have to have? Is it every other week? Do we, how many community forums, these online surveys? How do we bring all of this stuff together in a clean, cohesive way so that all of the, views, counter views are taken into consideration? So I think the best way to go about this is to break this down into 4 different sections. So deliverables, right? What are we actually trying to get out of this session? The second part would be the public engagement approach. How do we do this? Is it specifically the online surveys? How many meetings? When are those meetings held? Who's involved? How do we make sure that we franchise as many people as possible, but also not get bogged down in the minutia of the details of everybody wants their own thing. And I understand that. We all want our own little things, but how do we take all of that stuff, put it into a nice can so that we can deliver it to council so they can make moves on it? The third part is the project boundaries. What's included in phase 1? What's included in phase 2? What's included in phase 3? The funding sources. How much is this going to cost? Like, these are all the boring details of governance that nobody really wants to do, but they're the important things about it. And then the fourth thing is to define what success is going to look like. I think if we don't have a clear goal at the end of this process to say, if we don't have this done, then it wasn't success. So I think we need to actually define what we're trying to get at the end and then work back from there, right? So I think to just jump forward and then we can jump in if I'm wrong. I think the goal and success is having a clear, comprehensive Allen Fields plan for at least phase 1 with budgeted areas and designs for phase 2, 3, et cetera, in 2 months. Does that sound reasonable? That's our goal.
Yeah, me and Oliver, what we need to do, Bob.
Okay. I think push it past 2 months. I think the 2 month deadline is primarily, we've got to identify that skate park location because of the time commitments that Allra has and maybe the village is working.
So we're talking about phase one.
Phase one.
Phase one, the deliverable.
And the Trails Plus grant, which is whatever, $39 million, opens July 1st.
Let's go with, nah, I can't remember what I said now.
So I guess, what's the skate park encompasses about 10 acres.
Phase one master plan of Allen Fields.
The skate park location.
So I guess, and we can either work backwards from there, we can work forwards. I think one thing that we really need to figure out is like, what's like the deliverables of that plan? And there's a couple of different bullet point, right? It's like having the master plan is one thing, but I also think that we probably, and we need to figure out like these concept options, right? Based on our budget, based on all of these different things. And this is where meetings outside of this meeting are gonna be really important, right? Not, and have specific meetings where everybody can come and we can wait 2 hours into the minutia of all of these other little things. So, you know, having a master plan, having these concept options, having our high level cost estimates, right? What's the biggest and best that we can possibly dream of? How much is that gonna cost? And then working back from there, what's then feasible? What is, you know, figuring out trade-offs with these plans, right? Like if we have to, you know, can't get everything we want. So we're gonna have to have conversations about prioritizations. What's more important? Is it more important to have X and spend the money here versus Y and take away from X? We're gonna have those type of conversations. We're gonna have to have planning. We're gonna have to have public engagement. So probably the next thing that we should hash out in the time that we have left is over the next 2 months, what's gonna be our meeting schedule? How many meetings do we need to have? Is it 2 town forums and a couple of subcommittee meetings for us to try to herd all that together? Is it 3, you know, that's the open-ended question is how many times do we need to meet? How many, engagement opportunities do we need to have for each stakeholder? So that we can come together at the end of that and actually have a lot of good input from the community, because we don't want to do this in a vacuum. We don't want to disenfranchise horseshoe people because they couldn't be here today and all of a sudden it's all skate park, all pump track, even though those are cooler. But that's just me, right? And so that's the whole thing of how do we make sure that everybody's involved? So
Let me add. So actually, I love this part thing because I'm a planner, so I love all this kind of thinking. From consensus planning, if they're the contractor, they're gonna have to have some identifiable tasks.
right.
And in my mind, for Allen Fields, I almost think there's a skate park, pump track subcommittee that's gonna do some of this work, but on the big ticket items I see for consensus planning, this is what I'm gonna talk through as well with Matt here. One is we need a review of the old Allen Fields plan. I've never seen it. I just know it exists and it's got 2 softball fields on it. I had 4 on there. What's the rest of it look like? What was planned? What's still relevant in that? So we should review that as a committee and with the consultant. I think then, once we review that, we need that site visit at Allen Fields with everyone. That's a community exercise. That includes all the advocates for every recreational activity we can do out there. It's horseshoe, skateboard, volleyball,
Rec center.
drone obstacle course, whatever that people want to do. Let's get folks out there. We come back after that site visit for a design charrette. That we have the maps, we have places to draw on the map what goes here, how much we have 10 acres here. We look at the flow, we look at how people move through the site, we look at parking, we look at the infrastructure that's needed. That's all plays into this design charrette. At the same time that's going on, I do believe we need a community survey of how people would use the different features. How often do I go there? Would they support being a volunteer to help clean the junks? Get community input, and that could be done, a village survey, created, drafted by consensus. And then also we would use the social media to get the word out of that official community survey.
Yeah, I think it will be two different things happening at the same time.
It would.
Working with consensus on a master plan and identifying where the skate park goes, inconsistent with, we can go ahead and work the trail from the school down to, there's nothing stopping us from getting that trail from the charter school down into the Allen Fields area,
Right.
directly to the skate park.
I think that's part of the whole puzzle is that Allen Fields, it's the connections to it too. We've talked about the Cienega Creek Greenway connection from Event Center to Allen Fields. And then the school used that facility. So how do we get them down there? How do we do the parkour stuff people want along the trail features possibly? So, Council Weeks is correct. It's that consensus planning is doing the big picture. But as soon as we identify a location for the skate park, I think then we'll be doing a lot of community engagement on what, as we heard from our consultants today, how do we engage the community on those features as well? So, and maybe consensus can help facilitate some of that conversation as well, depending what the scope of work is. Then I think once that draft is done, just as we did for Mountain View Event Center, I think then we come back and share the images electronically at council meetings, at different committee meetings, and say, here's what's going on, here's what we have for a consensus to work on.
We can go ahead, maybe if y'all are interested in just getting an approval for, moving forward with the survey, to have that Allen Field surveyed so that we can see some of the boundaries where.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that would be great.
I think
Knowing
that'd be
what,
very
where it's at would be good to know,
We can
what we can
start
use.
there.
Yeah, knowing at least what we have, where we have to play with would be very helpful.
That's,
Cause that's gonna help define the scope, right? Like if we've got 10 acres, then that's gonna, versus if we've only got 5 or 3 or 4.5. All that stuff's really gonna matter.
So Mr. Weeks, do you know where we're at with, the negotiations? I know I saw some papers as far as the negotiations with the, resort in the village on like the lagoon or any of that.
we don't have an update yet.
Still ongoing.
Yeah.
But
But
in
it-
progress.
we could shift gears, if that were to happen.
So then I guess we need to have the survey done so that we can see what else is available that's not on resort property.
Well, the master, there's 75 acres in the Allen Fields
Right.
now, so there's work with this. So if that answers.
Yeah, cause I like the lagoon, it would be like nice and sounding, but like can't see it, like we've mentioned, or what we've weighed here is.
It may be too small for.
It may, but we'll just dig a hole in the side of the wall and keep going, Bob.
Yeah.
But as far as that goes, like you won't be able to see it. Like I love like what Oliver says about like being able to see it too. Not every, like I drive by it and it's like,
There's definitely a challenge looking at the survey with that location for sure.
I think there'll be a lot of success in having it visible. First of all, the success of people knowing it's there, very obvious. But also for the safety of people there and the safety of people not, they're not supposed to.
right.
Honestly, that location's probably a parking expansion.
So we're getting off track.
Yeah, well, so this is the whole reason of the scope of work.
Yeah,
right?
we're
This
getting
is-
off track.
These are the minutia that are important, but we're trying to facilitate the opportunity to have those conversations, right? Versus, yeah, because, we've got, I guess we're gonna go a little long, but we only got like 10, 15 minutes left. Those are all valuable inputs. I'm not trying to.
So if you have a list of all the things that are supposed to be there.
Well, we need to review the old plan, but that's what those future design plant meetings are supposed to be, right? How many things are we gonna try to cram in here? Right? Are we gonna try to do all of it at once? Are we gonna try to phase it out? Are we gonna, is it feasible to skate park and horseshoe pits at the same time? Does the volleyball people have to suffer till next summer? And then they get there, those are the type of things in the future meetings that we
Who
have.
has the old plan?
Shay does, I'm sure that's in the village records,
So buried somewhere in a pile in the back.
so can we maybe ask, Ashley or, Ken to chime in on what we're thinking? Any comments from you guys?
Yeah, Ken Romig, Consensus Planning, landscape architect. I've helped you with the Liberty Square and Mountain View Square. I really appreciate being part of the conversation. We have not only the plans originally built, the two fields, but we also have Dennis Engineering's expansion plans, which shows an additional two fields and a parking lot, pavilions and restrooms and that sort of thing, prepared for an immediate sort of conversation. I think it's a little preliminary for us to jump into that type of detail right now. I think it's more important for us to understand, and you're having this conversation is fantastic. I really appreciate it, to talk about, how many stakeholders are there? Are there stakeholder interviews before we go into this site visit and a charrette? So we can understand what the spatial dimensions are of these amenities you would want to include in a master plan. And we have to ask ourselves, what are our constraints with all that wish list? I totally agree. There needs to be an evaluation and a prioritization process. So you're making good, durable decisions when you start pursuing funding, because that determines what you can do in a phased fashion, right? And getting that skate park pump track in the ground as soon as possible for phase one is, as I understand, is a significant priority. But we do have some limitations. Unfortunately, we really need to look at, for the site, we have floodplain issues, and ownership issues we really need to look at real hard as a group. I think, as perhaps there's a steering committee that is an offshoot of the Parks and Rec committee that we can use as the sounding board and begin to develop that scope of work. And I'd suggest we do it right away. I didn't realize that there was a time frame of 2 months for us to get something in front of the council. So the sooner we meet, perhaps early next week, the better. I can put together a proposal, put it in front of you, and we can get started, get running on this right away. Those are my thoughts. That's a fair amount of thinking, but I appreciate any kind of feedback.
I think we should have a
Working committee or?
committee early next week. Well, just of us, and then together to identify, what Allen Fields looks like, what he has. And then, there's obviously rec center, skate park, volleyball fields, horseshoe pits, and then the existing fields. But the floodplain, there's a lot of that land down there that is in the floodplain. There's no question. So, I think structure wise, that's really where we'd have to focus, and grant wise, we would need to have to focus on, floodplain issues.
So I guess, and some, if I'm misunderstanding, so really before we go out and engage stakeholders, committee, have public meetings, we have to kind of figure out some background stuff. What's the current plan? Where can we go, right? So am I understanding that right?
I think it's a combination of us consensus, because I think
I meant with.
Yeah, right, yeah, you do.
So before we go out and start having town forums and engage stakeholders, we have some homework to do with consensus about narrowing down some details.
Yeah, and if what Ken is saying is that we need to meet next week to agree on a scope of work finalized, and after what we talked about today, there's that timeline. Okay, in 3 weeks, can we schedule 1st of May, for example? Can we work 2nd week of May? Can we schedule a community gathering at Allen Fields and have a walk around, look at all what we can do there?
Right.
And that's tied in with we do that in the afternoon, and then the evening, we come in here and do a design workshop.
Yeah.
And maybe it's online as well. So it's those kind of pieces of the puzzle. So it's like, if we're saying, we gotta talk to Manager Weir and the mayor to, what's the absolute timeline to get a skate park proposal? And we have to work back from there. So that's what we gotta figure out. I think the sooner the better.
Agreed.
So you had on your list the deliverables, different points that all make a whole lot of sense, and they kind of all fit in these other ideas that we gotta keep moving on.
Yeah. Do you want me to go through?
Yeah, let's go through what you had on your list.
Yes.
And comment on those.
Yeah, so on the deliverables, ultimately, we want a master plan, right? But how we get there, has a couple of different, variations or subsets. So we have concept options that we're gonna have to sit down and, right, it can't be, right, there's no perfect, it's a bad plan that can't be altered and no plan survives first contact. So we have to keep those things in mind. So we're gonna need different options of how we want to approach this. In those options, we want to look at kind of those high level cost estimates. What's the absolute most that this could cost? And I think based on that, then we work backwards. What's feasible? Where can we push it? Where can we secure some additional funding to maybe bridge some of those things? If we have in-kind donations and we need a grant for $100,000 to get us from option B to option A, how do we approach that? We also, I think we should establish kind of a planning phase. We kind of have an understanding of what phase 1 is, but we also want to incorporate what's phase 2 going to be, what's phase 3 going to be. Is there so much involvement and hype around this that we can dream of a phase 4 and 5 in 10 years and have this super, just a completely awesome attraction? And then the last kind of deliverable, which feeds in, is the public engagement aspect. Figuring out how many meetings, who do we talk to, all these really boring meetings about meetings. Well, this is government.
Consensus planning can make them exciting.
Even that.
Exactly.
Y'all's Liberty Square presentation was awesome, for sure.
Hey, Ken, one
Right.
question is, if we identify, not only the existing proposals, like the expansion of the softball fields, the bathrooms, the lights, if we give you a list of rec center, volleyball, courts, horseshoe pits, and some specs to that, how long would you need to mock something up on that?
Oh, we could get you a couple concepts in, shoot, I'm thinking, depending on our workload, but I think we just prioritize this. The Angel Fire is a wonderful client. So we would be within a week, we could get you some concepts, some options for you to consider. Probably though, we'd be a little weak on the cost estimates, the cost estimate fabric. But we could tighten that up as things go on. Certainly we could put numbers to it and they would be very raw. They wouldn't be as tight as I wish they would be, but that's the concepts would at least give you a sense of what the continuity is between spaces and what the synergies are and how the recreation components would be grouped.
When do we want to do our work session?
I mean, Monday, sooner the better. Sounds like we gotta find a giddy up, so.
Yeah.
I mean, so Ken, can you send me or Attila the, what you have as far as the, anything you have on Allen Fields that we can send out to the committee so they can digest it, so that we can have a meeting next Monday to maybe fill in the holes and then I know it'd be nice to have a community work session with all that, but I think if we at least get something to work off of, we can have the community, involvement after that. At least
Yeah,
it gives them
I
a
think usually,
look at it.
I think for the first part, we should really narrow the scope back to this committee, just for the minutia of it, and then open it up and engage.
So audience, how do you guys want to be engaged in Allen Fields planning? What's the best way to connect with you, to have you provide us valuable comments on Allen Fields. What strategies would you participate in a site visit with a design workshop? Would you do, answer questions through social media? What methods work for you? What would you like to see happen? What's valuable?
Thanks, Kim. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm sorry I have to leave. I'm very sorry.
Thanks.
I think all of the above, I mean, whatever it takes to, yeah, really get things going.
Well, and I think, you know, what we're looking at too with if we're drawing up this, these are the things we want, but this is where we need them, then, you know, skate park that can run. And then we can work on the proposals of the ideas with the community on everything. I mean, it's obvious that he's got the data on the skate park and pump track. There's 90 people
Yeah,
in the community that.
Bird ramp,
So
skate park,
I don't-
pump track.
we don't have to.
That's what everybody's wanting.
Yeah.
Dennis engineering on this, village engineer,
We do.
I would get with him like today
Yeah.
and get in front of FEMA. If you're in a floodplain, you might be held up for.
Yeah, so consensus also understands the whole floodplain issue with, so both partners, we see both partners, both organizations working closely together on this, from the engineering side and the planning design side. But absolutely, we recognize that's one of the issues with the Frank Young Trail was it's floodplain issues and how do we work with all that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And the maps we have, I know consensus, I think they might have brought the maps for Allen Field earlier when we were trying to work with the resort, showing where the floodplain is. We've identified the floodplain zone. That's in there. So, but that's good comment. Thank you.
Hey, actually, the question, we just kind of ran forward. Does Monday work for you guys? Someone from your team?
I mean, we can make it work.
Before we, we didn't even really ask if you guys.
Everybody's a good customer.
If you guys can go be there for that, so I just wanted to step back and make sure
So
that.
Monday, is that the site visit or Monday?
Monday, we're gonna kind of meet back here and go review the old plan, review Dennis Engineering's expansion, figure out those type of things.
It may take a while for the surveyor to get out there. We'll work on that.
Yeah.
But I mean, we can at least,
We can at least start.
we can go off of, you know, that.
After you guys could zoom in on that call too, or teams in on that, or to be on site visit, I don't believe.
Okay.
We can get an idea roughly, I mean, but it won't be surveyed. We could still walk it
But I mean,
if you want. I mean,
Yeah, just let me know what time works
Okay.
for y'all.
I think,
I think this one's a sit down. Let's look at all.
Yeah.
I think,
yeah,
I agree with
I
that.
do too.
Okay. So I'm gonna put Matt in charge because I'm leaving out of town next week for 10 days, so.
Good for you.
Gonna be your task on this. Okay, other comments for, this Allen Field scope work? It sound like we're on the right track? For Allen
I hope I'm
Field.
not getting too off topic, but I was wondering if it's possible or useful to document the public engagement that's already happened. Because we have done a lot of public engagement and it sort of just disappears. Looks like it hasn't happened. So Scott and Josh obviously have done a lot with Facebook recently. I sat the whole summer last year on Farming Market saying, how about the skate park? We got loads of responses and I've got a billion emails from people who came to the skate festival and stuff like that.
We would want that for the community engagement part.
So I just wonder if there's a formal way of sort of documenting that, and then it's useful to show that we have been doing that and continue to do that, obviously.
We have two surveys for the resorts meeting and greet.
Yeah, the dotted board.
I mean, yeah, we have.
You know, I think you could,
Place would be nice.
if you want to submit a Word document that summarizes your community outreach efforts and the responses you've got at the skate festivals, the farmers market, that would help.
I feel like it would be useful to have
Very
a paper that this has happened.
Yes.
And we've had that response.
Yes, let's add that to it'll be part of the document.
Okay, I can do that.
And just on that community engagement, it's not so much that all that work's being discounted, it's just how do we get other people in the conversation, right? Like, we already know the push and the drive behind that, but it's, how do we bring that in and how do we engage more stakeholders and make sure that Allen Fields is comprehensive
Absolutely.
versus just the narrow, and I mean, the narrow focus is nice, because you need to focus and you need people like you and Josh doing those type of things, but this part of it's more of the, how do we get everyone else involved?
Ashley, I got one quick question. Were y'all able to overlay the Allen Fields onto that survey?
I have it right here.
You do? Awesome. Can we pass that around, maybe get a
I
copy of it?
mean, it's 30 by 42.
Well, just, I mean, we just wanna look at it, just, we'll wanna be able to make a copy of that so that. But yeah, that's what we need to work off of, is what she said.
Leave that behind, if it's just. All right, so you wrap up that part of the discussion, so.
I mean,
I feel like this is time for Monday.
yeah, I feel like this is a good start, right? So Monday, you guys wanna just keep the normal 8:30? Does that work for everybody?
Ileana's.
It's good.
Okay, it's okay. Any objections to 8:30 on Monday? All right, yeah, and so what we'll do at that meeting, sit down, we'll review the old plan, we'll look at the expansion. And we will try to figure, and we will hone down the actual scope of work with consensus moving forward.
We need to reach an agreement.
Yeah, we need to reach an agreement of what this process actually looks like with timelines, deliverables, et cetera, so we can stay on track of herding the cats of this project.
All right. Let's move to wrap up items on our agenda. So wrap up, we've got, review the assigned tasks and actions, and I think we just covered that. So the assigned task and action is to follow up with this meeting on Monday. Make sure invite goes out for a Teams meeting to Ashley and to Ken.
Okay.
So we can forward that to them in a timely fashion so they know and let Ken know that. Any other tasks or actions come out of this today? Tim? I'm gonna forward the two documents to the village. Making sure I get the rest of you guys to come into the revised. You can tell me a yes after the meeting if you just look at the revised change. Agenda items for next meeting, continue on this project, correct?
Yes, plans,
Okay.
plans.
We had also on there a potential presentation on adaptive trails. Do we want to postpone that or still save some time on a presentation on adaptive trails? It is one of the deliverables ACTA is supposed to provide the village. So that adaptive trails is, how do we make sure that we can market our trails for adaptive riders and what that entails? Is that something we want to proceed with or hold off on adaptive trail presentation?
Let's work on, I'd say work on this full.
Full force.
Yeah.
All right, adaptive trails is on hold. Okay, so next meeting will be completely devoted to Allen Fields conversation, discussion, moving the project forward.
So you're talking about me on Monday?
Now I'm talking about the next committee.
Oh, the next, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, a month from now or a month from whenever. Okay, so, council update topics. What do we want to share? What do we want council weeks to share with council?
Scope of work with consensus.
Okay, presentation on skate park stuff, maybe. Anything else? Those two items?
Trying to get a survey.
Survey, okay. And maybe energy behind the whole, right, the Allen Field effort or skate park thing. Yeah, okay. All right, next meeting date and time.
I guess, are we sticking with the third Thursday?
Yeah, we moved this one up because I wasn't available next week, so we can go back to that,
Was third Thursday?
Well, probably, actually, let's do one in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
yeah, let's push it forward.
So 2 weeks would be the 30th?
Yeah.
Can't do the 30th either.
So can you do Friday the 1st? When are you back in town?
The following Monday.
So Tuesday the 5th?
You guys can run without me on that one. We want to do it 2 weeks.
It's up to you guys. We can do the 30th, we can do whatever.
Well, we could feed off of Monday's meeting at the Thursday.
So
I mean, he's not gonna be here either.
I won't be
Oh,
back.
he won't be here I don't know if we can make it both meetings, but.
Yeah, but you can.
You're the chair, you're a fearless leader, dude.
I can, but you're vice chair, so.
Without you, our ship is.
I mean, as long as we get Matt to show up, we'll be all right.
So, yeah, I'm not available till after that, first or second.
Well, let's do it right after that then.
Okay.
I mean, either way, 30th or after that, where are we going? 30th or the 20th?
Let's go ahead and meet the 30th, and then I think we should meet every 2 weeks until.
Okay, I think it's probably best to keep. Yeah,
Back to 1 hour meetings for the foreseeable while.
As makes it
just every other week, yeah, instead of the 1 month, trying to cram everything in, I think with the scope of what we're trying to get accomplished.
Yes, sir.
I need more meetings. Need
May
more meetings
30th.
about meetings.
May 30th will be the next one. It'll just be a focus meeting on Allen Fields and skate park.
8:30.
How's that? Well,
April 30th at 8:30 is
yes,
fine.
ma'am.
It's good.
So we've got Hills the 20th. Got 30th. And then I guess we can just set the tone for the next meeting of 30th.
Okay. So it'll be up to Matt to prepare and distribute agenda for those 2 meetings and work with Tim on notes. Okay, all right. Okay, anything else for the good of the cause today?
Any comments from the computer? You guys been out of the discussion this whole time.
Nope. All
All right.
Chris, thanks for joining today.
See you enough.
Talk to you guys again. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.